Okay, good morning and welcome to Third Space Chicago Community Yoga. It is February 5, 2022. We've been doing mostly virtual yoga for almost 2 years now. And I just want to congratulate all of us for hanging in there with all of this. Of course, virtual yoga being the least of our challenges. Go ahead and take a comfortable seat. This morning we will be doing a 75-minute slow and steady. You can call it energizing, strengthening. We're going to do a nice Hatha Flow where we're connected to our breath. Just find a seat where you can feel the connection between whatever surface you're on and your body. You could be cross-legged. You could be in a modified hero pose, as I am. You could place something under your hips. Do find your sits bones, which is the protuberances, the handles at the bottom of your pelvis, and see if you can move a little flesh aside to connect even more firmly with the seat that you're on. And then let's just take a big inhale through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. Let's do that one more time and imagine that we can let gravity take a little more of our weight as we exhale. So inhaling fully through the nose, sighing it out through the mouth. And now we'll continue to breathe in and out through the nose if that is accessible to you. And I'll offer you the opportunity and the suggestion at several points that you re-enjoy one of these falling out breaths. But like everything in the practice, it is your choice. Everything is adjustable. Everything is optional. So in your comfortable seat, let's notice now where the orientation of our spines is landing. And what we're looking for is the most comfortably upright position. So notice where your tailbone is. Let that sink down. And then shift your pelvis forward and back, just tilting a little bit forward and back. And you'll notice that your entire spine kind of curves one way and the other. Find the place just in between those two places where you can be most comfortably upright. And from there, tailbone reaching down gently, crown of head reaches up. Just feel a tiny bit more space vertically. And then our final adjustment before we dig into some good pranayama here is to open the collarbones to the right and left. So just opening across your chest, just inviting your shoulders a little further apart. And you'll feel automatically a sense of your shoulder blades coming a little lower on your back and closer together. And here we are, ready for yoga. You could bring your gaze inside and close your eyes, or just soften your gaze looking at the floor in front of you. Hands can rest comfortably on your thighs, palms up or palms down. Chances are good that you are now already breathing in a conscious way, but let's do that together. So just noticing on each inhale where you feel expansion in your torso. We're just observing at first here. Then notice the contraction, the relaxing as the breath is expelled. Now let's begin to direct our breath a little more. And as you inhale, invite that expansion a bit lower. So starting by expanding maybe just below the navel. And then as you exhale, noticing your navel floating toward your spine. As you invite this fullness in the lower part of your torso, you might even notice that the back body begins to come to the party a little more. You might feel some fullness in your low back on your next inhale. And just notice that. You might feel some expansion around the side body, maybe up near the navel as you expand this area on the inhale. Where do you feel fullness? And you invite that fullness on the inhale further up in the torso now, noticing expansion toward your collarbone, so toward the corners of your shoulders. We're almost thinking of four corners now, shoulders and hips, and expanding both down into the belly and up into the collarbones, keeping length in our spines to make room for that breath. Let's bring our attention a little more closely into the exhale now and continuing that sense of fullness, just kind of letting it happen, not thinking too much about it, in physical space of fullness. Exhaling, really extend the exhale to its comfortable conclusion. So exhaling, feel the navel floating toward your spine and empty the breath, maybe a count longer than the inhale. So if you're inhaling for 4, try to exhale for 5 or 6. And on the exhale, letting tension anywhere that you don't need it. If there's any effort in your shoulders, in your jaw, your brow, just exhale that effort out of your body. And as we continue our practice this morning, I invite you to stay connected to the breath, to really make these movements a breath with a movement. And if you find yourself, your mind wandering, if you're speeding up at all, just bring your attention back into the breath, back into the body. Let's now connect our breath, attention, and some movements. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, lowering the arms. You might continue to feel the fullness into the 4 corners of your torso. Your gaze could follow this movement with your gaze going up toward your thumbs and exhaling down toward your knees, chin to chest. Seated sun breaths. These can also serve as a mini practice anytime during the day when you feel you've been sitting too long. You could do some simple sun breaths, seated or standing, just to bring yourself back to the breath, back to some expansion. And the next time your arms float up overhead, exhale your right arm down to one side, down to the right, and reach your left arm over, feeling some space opening in the side body. Inhale that up overhead and expand over to your left now. Making room Warming up for some bigger poses to come, we first invite the spine and the side body to expand. So with your breath, moving to each side, maybe a little more space opening as you go. And then the next time your fingers are both overhead, this time bring your right hand to your left thigh. Let your left shoulder open, rotating gently to your left. And then inhaling overhead, rotating to the other side. Your hand on your thigh acts as gentle leverage. Not trying to get anywhere too quickly. The breath and the movement will invite things to open. We can trust that will happen without us forcing it. If you need to change the crossing of your legs, this is a good time to do this. Exhale, both arms down. And if you are in a kneeling position like I am, it's a good idea to shift into a cross-legged posture now. Hands on your knees, small circles, as if your spine was a huge spoon stirring a pot. Notice the sits bones where they're connecting to the floor. You're probably feeling your weight shifting from one to the other. You can reverse. The circles might grow a little bigger. Bring that to stillness. Let your spine become upright, and then bring your hands to the floor in front of you and gently walk your fingers forward. I'm going to back up a little so you can see me. And not, again, trying to get anywhere certain too quickly. Just let your sternum reach forward, keeping length in the spine, and then inch your fingers forward like spiders, tentatively moving. And then let them come to stillness and just notice. Lengthen your spine. And if it feels good here, you could bend your elbows and gently fold forward, exhaling. Walk your hands back toward your legs. Let's switch the crossing of the legs and invite the same movements. First, the circles. Just giving the hips a slightly different angle on this opening movement. And reverse. Then coming back to an upright spine, inhaling. Exhaling as our fingers inch forward, letting the sternum lead. So from the chest, spine is long. Until you reach any point of resistance, stop there. And if you're ready, on an exhale, you can bend your elbows to release tension in your neck. One more big inhale here and sigh it out. Walk your hands back toward your legs and shift over to a tabletop position, adding something under your knees if you choose. I am on a hard floor today and definitely will have something under my knees. So your hands are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips. Spread your fingers wide. Feel your shoulders sinking away from your ears. And then let your tailbone float up a bit as your gaze comes forward, opening space in the front body, inhaling. Exhaling, press into your fingertips, arching the back up into cat, emptying the breath. Flowing through cat and cow, inhaling, lengthening the front body. Exhaling, lengthening the spine from the tip of your tailbone to the crown of your head. And again, not trying to force any extremes here. Let the breath act as an agent of expansion here. So as you're exhaling, feel your spine lengthening. As you're inhaling, feel the front body filling with breath. Just tune into where you feel expansion. And also always asking yourself, is there some place that you could invite a bit of softening, a bit of relaxation, especially on the exhale? A hint is that your brow and your jaw are not helping the effort here if they're engaged. So always let them take the day off. A constant reminder for some of us who think with the muscles between our eyebrows. 2 more rounds of cat-cow. Maybe noticing space across your back as well, from pinky finger to pinky finger. And come to stillness. We're going to pivot, so come onto your left knee and your left hand. Let your left toes kind of come out to the side, and then your right foot comes long and a modified side plank. So opening your right hand to the sky. Take a moment here and just explore some easy openings in the shoulder, maybe a circular movement with your arm. Always respecting whatever your shoulder's limitations are. And reverse if you are circling. Where do you feel space opening? Anywhere from your right pinky toe to your right pinky finger and in between. And exhale your hand down, gently shifting over to the other side. Opening out to the side, your left leg reaching long, circling the shoulder. Where can you send breath on the inhale to fill and open space? Take 3 more breaths here and explore any tiny adjustments to this movement that make sense for you this morning. My shoulders are asking for a lot of planes of movement. Then let that come to its conclusion. Come back onto your hands and knees. Rock your hips right and left. Open your knees a little wider and press back to child's pose, hips floating toward your heels. Sigh it out. You might traction your fingertips like suction cups, your hips pressing back for a little extra stretch here. Inhale back to tabletop. Reset so you're stable, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And engage your core here. Before you inhale, lifting your right heel, pressing it back. Let your inner thigh of your right leg spin toward the ceiling a little. Then feel engagement from your heel to the crown of your head. Maybe adding your left fingers reaching away. Lengthening from your left pinky finger to your right heel. Strong back. Exhale the hand down. Bring your right foot out to the side like a big kickstand. And when you're ready, open your right arm to the sky. Shoulders sinking away from your ears, opening across the chest. Maybe a flex in the wrist would feel good here. Exhale that arm down and gently explore if it would feel good to let your hips float toward your heel so your right leg is still out to the side. Big falling out breath here. Inhale back to tabletop. Use your core here. Bring your knee back under your hips. And let's prepare for the other side, resetting for stability, engaging the core, inhaling the left heel back away. Crown of the head, reaching away from the tailbone, the heel, maybe adding the right fingers. Where can you feel strength in your back body? Exhale your hand down, bring the left leg out to the side, big kickstand. Stabilize, feel the stability in your core here before you open the left arm to the sky. Shoulders sinking away from the crown of your head. Maybe the wrist coming into this. A lot of pops and crackles around here this morning, the wrists and ankles. As long as there's no pain, those are completely natural. Exhale the hand down. Investigate, gently floating the hips toward the heel, stopping if you feel anything unpleasant. One more falling out breath here. Really feel your belly expand onto your thigh on the inhale. Sigh it out. And then inhale back to tabletop with control. Bring your knee back under your hips. Rock your hips left and right. Let's begin to find some circles with the hips. And let these circles become an exploration of openness in the side body. So your elbows might bend a little. Where in the ribs, waist, hips, armpits would you like to open some space? So let this movement become a yogi's choice. Staying very connected to your breath. You can reverse your circle or turn it into a figure eight or whatever shape is happening for you. Two more breaths here. Come to stillness. Reset your hands under your shoulders. Curl your toes under and actually now bring your hands one handprint forward. Spread your fingers. Feel your fingertips engaging. Pick up your hips a tiny bit and then let length happen from your fingertips to your armpits to your hips. Knees are very bent right now.
Feeling length in the upper body. And then begin to pedal your feet. Once the length from your crown of your head to your tailbone has been established, this stretch can move into the lower body. Maybe bend both knees deeply here and then lift your tailbone again. Don't worry about getting your heels to the floor. That is a thing that for some of us will never be a thing. It's anatomy. Don't believe everything you see on the cover of Yoga Journal. Just make this an exploration as well. Maybe your hips move a little side to side. One more breath here. Inhale, lowering your knees. Exhale back to child's pose. This time, let the butt of your hands near your wrists suction a little on the mat and then gently press back, maybe feeling some space in your triceps, even down to your forearms. You could rock your hips a little left and right. Walk your left fingers over toward your right. Press your left hip back, sigh it out. And then over to the other side. Right fingers toward left. Press the right hip back. Take 2 falling out breaths here, seeing where space wants to open. And now walk your hands back to center and toward your knees. Bring your knees closer together, not just under your hips. Walk up to a kneeling position. So bringing your torso upright. Feel engagement in your inner thighs toward the rear and engagement in your core as you lift the crown of your head. Inhaling, 1 sun breath here, inhaling up. Exhaling down. Now inhaling your arms up overhead in front of you. Open them out into a V, opening across your chest. As you exhale, cross your arms in front of you. Use your core to control this movement, but move your seat toward your heels. Inhale, press into your shins and the top of your feet to come all the way up again. Exhale to close the arms in front of you. Maybe the left arm's on top. If the right arm was the first time, you can alternate in this flow. Building some prana, some warmth. So we begin to emerge from our seated practice into these bigger movements. Let the breath drive the duration of each of these movements, always knowing that your pace might be a little ahead of or behind mine. So think of this as an inhale with a movement skyward, an exhale with a movement toward the seat. One more time in each direction. Now walk your hands back to a tabletop position. Curling your toes under, inhale, pressing back to down dog. And exhale, lengthening into some version of this. I invite you and insist actually throughout this practice, anytime we're in down dog, keep your legs a little bit bent. We don't want to lock out the back of the knees. And let's flow. Inhaling, knees come down to the floor, exhaling back to child's pose. Inhaling tabletop, exhaling down dog. Inhaling tabletop, exhaling child's pose, and going at your pace now. Flowing through tabletop, either to child's pose or down dog. And you could choose one of these as your preferred destination. You don't have to do down dog, you don't have to do child's pose. Just flow from tabletop to whichever wants to happen in your practice. Do you notice space opening anywhere as the muscles get warm? The next time you're in down dog, let's find stillness there. Something like stillness. And then step your feet, baby steps, toward your hands, coming into a forward fold. Knees are bent. Let your belly rest on your thighs here, so your tailbone is comfortably extending backward, almost like a diver on blocks. Now as you inhale, press into your heels, hands slide up your shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold, keeping some amount of bend in the knees. We'll do that one more time. Exhaling, forward fold. Nod your head yes. Letting all tension go. Your hands can hang down. Inhaling, press into your heels. Let your arms float out to the sides. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, thumbs to heart. Finding mountain pose. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your navel and check in as everything settles into this standing posture. Can you find that full expansion in your inhale from your hips to your collarbones here? Let your hands hang by your sides. Notice the connection between your heels and the floor, the balls of your feet and the floor. You might even rock gently forward and back. Maybe left and right, becoming a piece of bamboo in a gentle breeze. Let this movement find a small circular path. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. What if you were really a piece of bamboo in a gentle breeze? You'd feel a firm connection between yourself and the ground, reaching toward the sun. And then bring that to stillness. Roll the shoulders back and forward, back again. Inhale the arms up overhead. Grasp your right wrist with your left thumb and forefinger. And first, let your shoulders sink down, opening across the chest. Then lengthen up and arch over to your left. Your right hip has floated out to the side likely. Use your core to bring your weight back into both feet evenly. Maybe picking up your right foot a little bit. Exhale that down. Inhale up. Grasping the other wrist, first opening shoulders and then reaching toward your right. Using your core to bring your hips back over your feet. Maybe challenging your balance by picking up your left foot. And on any of these balance poses, let that go when it goes. Feel free to have yourself next to a wall, a chair, just something to support you. There's no reason to take unnecessary risks. All right, continuing to challenge balance, just bend into your knees a little bit and then feel your weight shift from your heels to the balls of your feet. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead and see what happens if you come on up to the balls of your feet. Exhaling down. The knees bend a little bit. We're flowing, inhaling up. You might notice as you come up toward the top of this movement that the inner thighs engage toward the rear. All of these fine parts coming into the balance party. One more time. Let this be about the breath. Exhaling as we sit the tailbone back into a chair pose. Then staying in chair so you feel your tailbone reaching back, core is engaged. Inhale your arms to shoulder height. You can stay right here, or on your next inhale, open your left arm toward the rear, rotating to the side. Exhale your hands together, and then inhale, opening the other arm. Starting to build some warmth in the big thigh muscles. Once more to each side if you'd like. You can always come more upright in mountain for this if this is too much. And the next time you exhale your fingers together, inhale them up overhead, maybe one more time to the balls of your feet. And exhale it down. Let's shake that out. Bring your feet about a little more than hip width apart. And let's let everything sort of slosh around now. Your heels are connected to the floor. We're not bouncing. We're just moving up and down. Arms kind of coming a little less engaged, fingers shaking, wrists and ankles, knees are bouncing a little. This is where I start hearing the glassware tinkling together in the cabinet. Gotta love an old house. The hands become a little airborne. It's almost like birds or butterflies taking flight. And they start to go in different directions. In fact, you might rotate a little to one side and then the other. And if you're wondering what the point of all of this is, well, I have many goals. One is to get you to smile, but we are definitely building prana. We're creating prana that we can shape. Prana being life force, energy, warmth. We got 10 more seconds of this, so what can you do to make this really all about your prana? And 3, 2, 1, stop. Bring your hands out in front of you, waist height, elbows bent. Do you feel some afterglow, vibrations between your hands, like an orb of energy that you can imagine as your own light? What if this light had a color? Sometimes mine is golden. I might envision pink or purple. It's all up to you. What do you see here? And begin to imagine this as a taffy-like illuminated substance that you can begin to stretch. Be accordion-like. could be you're weaving it, but it gets bigger. And it doesn't get thinner, it actually grows in mass as you expand it. As an excellent metaphor for our own prana. Sometimes we have to build energy to have energy. Sometimes we have to spend energy to create energy. Imagine you can shape this all around you. Maybe your feet are moving a little wider. Now imagine you're actually in a pool of this energy of your own creation, and the golden light, the pool of golden light is up to somewhere around your hips, so you can take your fingers and trail them through the surface of this beautiful illuminated pool. It's the perfect temperature. It can be calming, it can be energizing. That's the beauty of yoga. We can choose. And maybe we begin to scoop some of this liquid light up and bathe ourselves in it. So your knees might bend a little as you become like a big water wheel. Anytime we need a certain kind of energy to be more calm, to be more energized, to be more patient, we can create this moving in whatever direction. If you've been on one side, you can shift to the other. How much do you need to create this energy today? And again, spinning it all the way across the sky, all the way around you. So you end up coming to stillness eventually, stepping your feet back under your hips, standing in this protective, energizing orb of energy that can be your boundaries, can be whatever you need it to be. Take a moment to just feel bathed in this prana of your own creation. What do you notice? What do you need or want from it? What do you see? Making your way to the front of the mat, let's use some of this energy that we've created. And if you want to have blocks nearby, you can. They're not critical, but could be nice at a couple of points to bring the floor closer. Inhaling, sweep your arms out and up overhead. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, hands slide up your shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Empty the breath. Inhale, press into your heels, sweep your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, thumbs to heart. Let's continue with these half sun salutations. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, forward fold. And inhaling all the way up. Going at your pace, letting your breath direct the movement. We'll do two more. Any of the exhales could become a sigh. I invite you to let that happen naturally. It's actually a great skill to cultivate, tuning into when would a falling out breath be helpful in or out of a yoga practice. There's a lot of evidence being researched and discovered about the power of these yogic breaths, something the ancient yogis knew and modern science is now validating. Exhaling, thumbs to heart, one hand to navel. That falling out breath that I'm so fond of is called a physiological sigh.
that Stanford University has kind of discovered. And I'm happy that they validated what the yogis have been doing for thousands of years. Coming to the wide end of your mat, step your feet out, 2-3 feet wide, wherever you can be in a comfortable squat. And your squat can be this deep, it can be this deep, you decide, your knees should decide. Inhaling, the arms come up overhead, we make a big X shape. Exhaling, cactus arms pressing into your heels, flowing with your breath. If you find yourself speeding up here, just slow it down to the pace of a good full breath. And the next time we're in the squat, let yourself come to stillness, open across your chest, press into your heels, feel strong and engaged in your low body, light and free in your upper body. One more breath here. Press it all the way up. Exhale your arms down to your hips. Bring your feet to parallel. Open your arms out wide, reaching fingertips away from fingertips. Inhaling to lengthen your spine. As you exhale, hinge forward. Lengthening crown of your head through your tailbone. Knees have a small bend in them. You can always walk your hands to your thighs or the floor. We'll be there in a moment. Exhale your hands down. Bend the knees a little. Let your head fold forward, releasing any effort in your neck. Nodding yes. Walk your hands back up to your thighs. And from here, turn your right foot toward the short end of the mat, back foot to 45. Finding a lunge with your hips and ribs oriented toward the wide end of the mat. Open your arms out wide for warrior two. Gazing out over your front fingers, lengthening fingertips to fingertips. Again, feeling grounded in your low body, so press actively into your feet. Upper body is light and long. Flip your palms, shoulders sink down. Inhale, press into your heel to bring your front leg towards straight as your arms float up overhead. Exhale, warrior two. Gazing over your fingers, flowing with your breath. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And the next time you settle into warrior two, find stillness there. Reverse your warrior, inhaling, opening space in the front body. And then exhale through warrior two, bringing your forearm onto your inner thigh. Your left arm is reaching overhead or possibly creating one long line from your pinky toe to your pinky finger. Option here would also be to bend your top elbow, bring your hand around your back, and open your shoulder. One more breath here, whichever option you've chosen. And then windmill it back to warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Exhale your hands down. Heel toe your feet back under your hips. Circle ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, and come to stillness. One hand to heart, one hand to belly. 3 breaths here, checking in before we move into the other side. Bring your hands back to your hips. Step your feet out wide again. First feet are parallel. Bring your hands to the back of your sacrum. You could have a strap here, or you could interlace your fingers, or your hands could just be on the low back, opening across your collarbones, maybe interlacing your fingers to open more if that feels good. Bend your knees a little bit. Inhaling, lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, hinge forward. Keep the knees a bit bent. We're moving through a flat back into a forward fold here. Fingers toward the sky. Nodding your head yes. Maybe gently shaking no. Press into your heels to hinge back up. Bend your elbows to release your shoulders. Roll your shoulders forward and back. Rotate your left foot now toward the short end of the mat, finding warrior 2 on this side. So your front heel would bisect the back foot, which is at 45. Open out wide. You might notice that this side, the distances are a little different. It's very common. We want to keep the outside of the back foot engaged. Lengthening crown of head through tailbone, fingertips to fingertips. Flipping the palms, we flow. Each time gazing out over the front fingers. Where can you send a little more breath on the inhale to energize this pose, whatever that may mean for you? And come to stillness in warrior 2, feeling that low body grounding engagement. Now bringing your forearm to your thigh, inhale your arm up overhead, finding side angle. Your forearm on your thigh can be a little bit of leverage just to keep your knee over your heel. If it's folding forward, that's a great correction to make. Press into your back heel, reaching your pinky finger away, or maybe you've chosen to open your shoulder with your hand behind your back. One more breath here. Windmill back to warrior 2, and now reverse your warrior. Come back to warrior 2, bring your hands back to your hips, rotate your feet back toward each other and step them under your hips, releasing tension in your ankles, knees, hips, spine. You can do circles, you could just step back and forth, whatever feels good in your body. Let's work with pigeon a little bit today. So coming to the front of your mat, inhale, lengthening your whole body, feeling a strong mountain pose. On your next inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Exhale, hinging forward.
Inhale, sliding your hands up your shins, flat back. Exhale, place your hands on the mat, step back to down dog. Feeling length from your fingertips to your hips. On your next inhale, pick up your left heel a little or a lot, and then bend your knee, flex at the ankle, and optionally, see what would happen if you open your hip so your heel actually crosses outside of your right hip. And then with control, bring that knee back around and send it toward your thumb, setting your knee down near your wrist or thumb, uncurling your back toes. Do not try to do anything to make your left heel come toward your thumbs, but do try to inch your right toes away from your hips. So you might just, settle that down. Just explore that for yourself. Your hands are supporting your upper body here, and you might choose to place something under your left hip. It's up to you. You could stay upright here, feeling this stretch, lengthening your sternum forward, or you might choose to come onto your forearms, letting go of tension in the back of your neck. Find some falling out breaths here. Remembering that our goal is not to do anything specific to our hip or our knee so much as to be supportive of a stretch and let the breath send a message to the whole nervous system that we can soften the brow, the jaw, eye sockets, maybe soften around your palate. Where can you send breath and let go of tension? You might explore where your elbows are. If they're closer together, there might be more effort happening than if you open them wide and let your forehead come to the back of your hands. 3 more breaths here. Walk your hands back under your shoulders, taking your time. Curl your back toes under. Step back to down dog. Find some small movements here. It could be bending your knees and pressing into down dog. Just take 3 breaths to reset. Now inhaling, pick up your other foot, bend the knee, decide if you would like to open that hip. And with control, then bringing the knee toward the thumb, setting the lower leg down, inching your other hip back away from your heel. Feel the engagement of the top of your foot, supporting your upper body here, and then choosing if you would like to come down onto your forearms. Releasing tension in the back of your neck. Can you find a deep inhale in your belly and sigh it out? What can you simply notice here? without any agenda, without any judgment. Walk your hands back under your shoulders, taking time with care and caution, coming back to one more down dog. Maybe bend deeply into your knees here and then press back, lengthening. Lower onto your knees and walk your hands toward your knees. So you're coming into this kneeling seated position. Just take a moment in stillness here, one hand on your heart, one hand on your navel. Feeling what you feel. Bringing your hands over to one side or the other, come onto one hip. Bring your legs around the front, and then you might choose to have a blanket under your sits bones for this. We're going to open the legs out to the sides. Not looking for anything that looks a particular way, so much as we're just making some space here. And your knees can keep a micro bend. If you have a tendency to lock your knees, it might be a good idea to put something under your knees here, but just keeping a bend. Gently walk your hands probably right in between your knees to start with. Inhaling, lengthen your spine, sternum shining forward. And then take your left hand, bring it to the inside of your left calf. We're not anywhere extreme at all, but if it feels good, start to slide your hand toward your ankle, in the direction of, I should say, and then open your right hand to the sky. So this is a chest opener more than any sort of extreme inner thigh stretch. On your next exhale, let your hand travel over toward the other hand. One breath on this side. And then walk your hands through the center. Your right hand now finding the inside of your right calf and sliding in the direction of your ankle until you feel a little bit of a stretch in your back, and then open left arm. So we're leveraging to open the chest. If it feels good, you can gently deepen the stretch. Exhale your hand toward your other hand. And then move your hands to the center between your knees. Come back to an upright position. Go ahead and bend your left knee. Orient your hips a little more in the direction of your right ankle. So now we're pointing this way. And then just walk your hands outside of your knee and only as far as feels good, coming into a gentle forward fold. Where do you feel expansion happening? Walk yourself back to upright, hands supporting you. Shift so that the other leg is now bent, probably your right leg. Orient your hips in the direction of your left foot.
Lengthening your spine first, walk your fingers outside of your knee, only as far as feels good. First, we inhale to lengthen the spine, and if it feels good, we explore a forward fold. Staying connected with the breath. Walk yourself back to center and upright. Bring your legs out in front of you and then just reorient yourself to be along the length of your mat. We're going to come into a reclining position. You can have something under your head if you like. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor, about hip width apart. And then walk them on out to mat width. Windshield wipers right and left. Letting your knees come all the way down to the left. Sink, releasing tension in your hips. Maybe gazing out at your right thumb. Maybe adding your left ankle onto your right thigh. Can you make this about the breath? I'm imagining the breath answering back and saying, can you make everything about the breath? Can you exhale any effort where it is not needed, melting it away? Imagining each exhale as a gentle blowtorch that can melt effort. Release that side, carefully bringing your knees back to center. I like to reset in the middle here by bringing the feet to hip width, pick up your pelvis, neutralize it. So set it back down and then bring the feet to mat width, windshield wipers. Eventually sinking down to the right. Left shoulder stays grounded, gaze can go out to the left hand. Do you want to add the traction on the left thigh? Checking in with your brow and your jaw. I don't know about you, but mine need constant reminders that they're not needed right now. Maybe inviting a nice big falling out breath. And then release this side. Bring your knees back to center. Maybe pick up your hips again to set them back down before you bring your knees to your chest. Flexing your feet, rocking right and left, feeling what might be a pretty gorgeous massage across your low back. Guide some circles with your hands on your knees so that massage grows into this tailbone to hip to low back to hip movement. and reverse that. Come to stillness. Bring one knee up to your chest. Let your other foot press away. Big inhale and sigh it out. Then bring both knees back to your chest. Let the other leg become long on the mat. Bring both knees back. Bring them toward your armpits. Reach for the outsides of your feet, finding happy baby. Maybe play around with one leg getting straight while the other bends here. Not straight, just lengthening a little, pressing feet into hands. What would your happy baby do? You rock a little, it might feel good, or you might end up on one side. Take a big inhale and sigh it out. Let your legs become long on the mat. Your arms can come out by your sides or down by your sides. Just finding where you would like to be for final Shavasana, and knowing that for the next few moments, there is nothing left to do but relax. Take one more deep breath. Let your exhale make your whole body heavy, softening your gaze or closing your eyes, letting all effort go. Bringing your attention gently back to your body, to your breath. Find some small movement somewhere. Be wiggling your toes or fingers. Eventually expanding that into a big stretch, your arms reaching overhead. Taking your time, make your way over to your side and back up to a seated position. Settling into your seat. Just take a moment to notice what's present for you now in your body, your mind, your prana, your spirit. knowing that this place of calm, centered energy is available to you anytime you want to invite it. Maybe expressing gratitude to yourself for practicing yoga today. And close the practice by inhaling, sweeping the arms out and up, feeling this orb of energy we've created. Exhaling, thumbs to heart. The light and the love in me honors the light and the love in each of you. Om Shanti, peace. Thank you for practicing yoga on this Saturday morning.